Hello, I'm Beth the Builder, and I'm gonna walk you through how I carve rock owls. So I've carved various kinds of rock owls, and some are kind of squat, like this guy. Some have a little base. I like the squat fat owls best, honestly, so we're gonna kind of stick with that, but make them maybe a little bit more turned to the side because of the shapes of my rocks. And I've run out of rocks to carve, and there's like 12 inches of ice and snow on the ground, so it's pretty hard to scavenge for rocks right now. So think ahead about that if you want to be carving rocks in the winter and you live somewhere where it's a tundra for 5-6 months out of the year. So get your supplies and gear you're gonna need, like goggles, respirator, you're gonna need diamond coated bits. I'm gonna use mostly my super coarse 60 grit diamond coated bits. I got my flex shaft and rotary tool. Rotary tool is Wen, flex shaft is Dremel. And then I got my setup here of my dirty tank of water and then a tray that I'll carve in, and then towels, you know, because it's wet. So like anything, you just have to start from the beginning and gain experience, and you'll figure out like a groove of things that you like doing, things that you're better at, and things that maybe are harder for you, or things that you want to get, you know, gain more experience in. But yeah, you just gotta start. That's kind of like your first step. You gotta begin. Alrighty, so I have drawn on my rocks the basic shape of what I'm going for. One's pretty dark and the other is pretty light, so I know the dark one will be harder. So those are the two I'm gonna be working on. And I'm gonna start with just the basic body shape of both of them. And I'll just go back and forth between the two of them, block out their bodies and heads, and then probably start doing their ears, kind of like tufts on the top of their head. Okay, so something to be aware of that I just ran into that I think I probably have in the past, sorry, I'm trying to get my lamp out of the way, is that metal and water don't exactly love each other. So it's been a little while since I've carved any rocks, so it was very, very difficult to get the bit that was in here out. So maybe what I should end up doing is taking it out and leaving it on a towel when I'm done, so that any water that's getting sprayed up inside here isn't just kind of collecting around that bit and making it more difficult to get out than is really necessary. Again, because water and metal don't really mix all that well. So I wiped it out and everything, got it out with some pliers, and it wasn't a big deal, but I imagine if you left it long enough and it stayed damp inside any of this stuff, could become a problem. Just something to think about. Okay, so this is the bit I'm gonna start with. Pretty basic kind of cone shaped guy. I haven't used this one maybe at all. So I'm gonna block out their bodies, heads, and then we'll see kind of what I'm feeling. I think that's really how you carve, is you feel out what that thing is and what it needs, and kind of the next like step in your process. Okay, so I've basically blocked out my two owls. So one is gonna be kind of side facing, like his face is gonna be here. Wings on either side. This guy is gonna be more forward facing, kind of more squat. He kind of just looks like a funny penguin right now. Very simple, kind of similar to this guy. So kind of two different orientations, I guess. But basically the same things apply. Head, body, wings on either side. This dark stone is obviously much harder than this guy. This guy carves like butter. This one, I have to push a little bit harder, and it's grinding away my diamond coating a lot quicker than this one. So I'm gonna change my bit to something smaller, I think, because I want to get ears in place. So I'm thinking maybe this guy. It's got a good point on it. It's much smaller than this. See? It's got a good point on it. This one, pretty soft. I'm gonna have to be careful of not getting anything too small because it'll just flake off because of the kind of stone it is. All right, so my camera I thought was filming and it wasn't, so I apologize you didn't get to see part of this being done. So I pushed the point of my bit into his neck to kind of give him some feathering there. I will add more, obviously, texture to him later once I switch bits after I do this other one. His wings got a little bit far away from his body, but I think it gives him kind of more of a cartoony look, which I'm not mad at. His nose and face turned out really well considering how soft this is. He actually has a bit of a profile, like his forehead is pushed back, nose, neck, eyeballs kind of bulgy and funny like an owl's. For the most part, I would say he is done other than the final details, but the base shape, eyes, face, etc., wings are all pretty much done. And he sits upright. So I flattened out that bottom. So this guy is gonna probably be a little bit more difficult because he is so much harder. It might have to end up just being a little bit more rounded and stuff in places because it is so hard. But yeah, I'm gonna start again with, well, you didn't get to see it, but I started with the wings, kind of like shaping them. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a tail, and then I'll start with his ears and eyes. Let's do it. You'll probably just hear this while I'm doing it because that's more interesting. Okay, with this guy, he's kind of wet, so it's hard to see a ton of details with that dark stone. But for both of these, I'm gonna smooth out the eye socket and deepen any areas. With this guy, it has a flat top, so that's really easy to do with that to kind of like smooth out any funny edges, etc. And then we'll add texture. And then, oh, this guy needs eye sockets. It's just some of those final detail things and we'll be all done. Alrighty, so I'm all done with my owls. I'll get you some really good close-ups of them. I am pretty happy with both of their faces particularly because they're not flat and they're kind of triangular. So, which is a thing that Jordy helped me out with when I was chainsaw carving an owl. He did one and really focused on like the face and how to make it look like not flat and stuff, which because I had complained about my owl face looked kind of flat. So I'm pretty happy with these guys, not flat. One of them, wings kind of sticky outy, other a little bit leany. You know, they're not going to be perfect because I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm aiming for gaining experience and, you know, having a good time with it. And I really liked carving these. They turned out really, really fun. I like the contrast. I think I'll put in eyes. Like this guy, I put in yellow eyes. I think it makes him kind of stand out a little bit more. But other than that, I probably won't do a ton of painting with them. So I just keep recycling my water. That's why it's so friggin' dirty, but I haven't had any problems with it yet. And one thing to be aware of, especially if you're carving rocks inside, is you probably don't want to dump this water down your drain because there's a crap load of sediment to it. I generally go outside when it's not cold as heck. I dump all my water outside and then I'll spray out my rags because that's where dirt and sediment from rocks belongs, not in your drains. I can just guarantee it'll be a problem. And I don't like plumbing problems. They're a really big pain in the ass. So just do yourself a favor. Just throw that shit aside. If you want to support me, you can find some of my cool carvings as well as a bunch of my wood burning stuff on my Etsy store. You can click this link right here. Oh my God, it will totally bring you directly to my Etsy store. Isn't that amazing? As well as like, you can support me on my Patreon. Any amount of support helps, just like liking and subscribing, or just like sharing this with somebody, etc., and tuning in and leaving me comments and supporting me. One note, if anyone knows where to get these diamond coated bits not on Amazon, I would love to know because I've never found them in a store. I can't say that I've looked like excessively, but I just want to put it out there. If anyone knows of a really good place to get those, and I'm not putting my money towards let me know in the comments, or you can send me an email. Any of those things, I would really, really appreciate it. So I hope you like my owls. I will start doing something else, honestly, other than owls, because I feel like I've mastered owls for rocks. So we'll try something else and kind of like feel it out, especially once I can scavenge rocks outside. So that'll be really helpful. You guys are awesome. I appreciate the friggin' heck out of you guys. And keep carving, keep watching, and I'll see you guys next week.